time to take flight with Audio Airstrike.
And folks, this is another edition of Audio Airstrike. I'm Everett Hall-McNeill, and with a special guest, entrepreneur, good grief, actor. What do you not do? Parties, what do you not do?
I do a little bit.
He does a little bit. This man had a web series out that's about to be out. This man had hosted parties with 500 plus people. Tell him your name. I ain't going to gas you up.
Dwayne Miles, aka B James, ladies and gentlemen. B James.
Absolutely. So always good to have you. How we met, we both were working a 9 to 5 at a warehouse, started talking about film, and ever since that conversation started,
we was actually working 10 hours, so it was more than the 9 to 5.
Oh yeah, absolutely. We was doing 10 hours. But it's been great, man. It's really been great to see the growth that both of us have been able to accomplish, and both of us have been able to. Every time that we've talked, it's always been to encourage, and to help build each other up. So I definitely appreciate that. Yes,
and I would like to piggyback off of that. Like we was just talking before we set up about. I was just asking E, like, how did it actually transpire? Because we definitely, in the job he talking about, we used to work at Amazon together, and he was in ICQA. We called that the old folks department. It just was dry, this, that, and other. And I was in store, one of them. But me and E, I don't know what happened, but I think once we met each other, I think we had a conversation about film, and we figured out that we both had a desire and a love for film. And from that point on, we just started to. We just linked, and what I love about it was the fact that we started putting stuff into fruition. Right. From that point, we talked about how the job was kind of holding us up a little bit, and what our true desires was, and we kind of like walked into that, and we continue to progress in those fields. So I think that's a wonderful, beautiful thing.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely, man. It's good to see young brothers get together and encourage each other out. Now, speaking of young brothers, we do have to unfortunately bring up the Kareem Hunt incident. We have to talk more in depth about that. Dwayne, let me get your thoughts on that.
First and foremost, this is what, because I got 3 daughters. So I'm not, under no circumstances do I think, not just domestic violence, any type of assault on a woman or putting your hands on a woman, I'm definitely not for that at all. Like, absolutely 1,000%. I don't stand for that. I do feel like sometimes certain situations can be perpetuated more when you come from a different profession, or you got different things going on in your life. Now, far as and you don't want to sound insensitive, but when I saw the video, because I was like out of town, I actually had Kareem Hunt on my fantasy team. Oh, wow. And one of the guys had made a joke. He had said something. I didn't pay any attention because he had like said something in the group chat about you about to lose your boy Kareem Hunt, but I never even paid it no attention. And when I got out of town, we got settled. It was just like breaking news everywhere, and I was like, well, goddamn. First and foremost, it doesn't matter who you are. I never want to see anybody lose something that they worked forever to get, Yeah. But when I saw it, then I saw the headline, so I went and Googled the video. And when I seen the video, back to what I was saying about I don't want to seem insensitive. At first, when I saw the video, I was like looking for, because you know how these writers are. It was like Kareem, the words it said
they got to sensationalize it. Yeah.
It was like Kareem Hunt brutalizes young lady or whatever the case. I'm watching. I'm like, well, what? I'm watching. So what they were saying, because I kept hearing them talk about the kick. I'm sorry, or whatever. And then when I saw it, I was like, oh damn. It didn't look that malicious or whatever the case. Now here's the thing. Back to what I said originally. It's just a sticky topic, because I feel like, he should have been. I just don't think he was thinking at all in that particular situation at the time, especially for somebody who had so much to lose. Because I do believe it was an incident that happened maybe months ago. Maybe.
Yeah.
So it was still
back in February.
Yeah. So it was still doing the shit. So what's at stake, and even before it transpires, I'm talking about like like who you are and what's at stake. That's just like, say me and you get an opportunity to direct a Marvel film or whatever, right. Or you representing a brand or whatever that you know is a thin line in between losing all that. So I think I would have been more cautious in my actions, period, if I was in that situation. But you never know, because I read some part of the articles, and I've seen some stories where they was saying it was derogatory remarks made towards him, things of that sort. And I understand how that can trigger someone and it could set you off. But even still, at this point, even when you're dealing with America, and even if it's a race issue, whatever, like, bro, it's like at this point in our life, like, we know what time it is. Mm-hmm. I mean, the president is transparent with us, where he stands, how he feels, this and other. We know what society we live in. And that's even more reason I believe that you have to show more restraint in those situations, especially if you somebody of a caliber of, like, such as a Kareem Hunt or what have you. And I'll use another example. I'll use something. It's got to be a unconscious thing. Like, I'm gonna give you an example what I mean by that. Let's go back to Jay-Z and Solange in the elevator. Right?
In the elevator, yeah.
Hove now this woman is firing off of him.
Right, absolutely.
He's just being defensive and, trying to restrain the woman, whatever. He could have popped up, because mind you, it's a secluded area, whatever the case. You might think you in that moment, you might not even
could have
think
popped
about,
her, but we wouldn't be talking about Jay-Z. We're
Exactly.
talking about him now.
You get what I'm saying? So I just think his level of professionalism, him understanding his worth and what he had to lose, and him just understanding who he was and at the level that he has reached in his life, he knew that it wasn't even worth that. Like, I don't even think he's the type that you can trick into a situation like that. Now, in Jay-Z's defense,
a little closer to the mic.
I'm sorry. In Jay-Z's defense, Jay-Z is a lot more older than Kareem Hunt. Kareem Hunt is only a 23-year-old young man, what have you, whatever the case. So I'm not using that for an excuse, but I'm just saying the maturity in that situation where one can be. And Jay-Z is a seasoned vet. He's been in this game for a minute. He knows how to move, how to operate. Maybe that's something that Kareem should have worked on. I'm not sure. Now, I will say this. Speaking of his age, I still feel like Kareem may have one more shot of playing in the NFL again. The only reason I believe so, and here's why. His age is one reason why I believed he might.
How old is he?
He's only 23. Now, let's take the Ray Rice situation.
Well, Ray Rice was on the downgrade of his career, 30,
That's
approaching
exactly,
30.
Not even that. And so you going where I'm going. Uh-huh. Not even that. And when you say the downgrade, NFL is strictly about production. For real. So sometimes it's like, bro, don't give him an excuse to kick your ass to the curb.
Because he was getting what, like 2.3 yards a carry?
It was definitely decreasing.
It was trash a little bit.
It was already decreasing anyway. You get what I'm saying? So it's like, oh, we can do without you anyway. But Kareem on one can arguably say, now obviously KC won last week without him, but even the commentators and the people that was calling the game was noticing some of the struggles that they face without him. So we still have yet to say how far the team can go without him or whatever the case. But I believe Kareem Hunt's skill set, his age, and his production before this point, it may be enough on his resume to land him a second chance in the NFL, perhaps. And then when you get into the NFL, I mean, the NFL is just so wishy-washy too, man. It's like they pick and choose who they what they want to reprimand, what issues they want to, make an example out of or whatever the case. I mean, Dante Stallworth. Not saying that is no different, but he was in a vehicular manslaughter. The Ravens signed him. Reuben Foster just was in he just got released from the San Francisco 49ers. The Redskins got the rights to him, still signed him. He's on the commissioner's exempt list, but he still got a job in the NFL. So it's just, it just be, I don't know. Sometimes they want to make an example out of you. And another thing I read, I think what they were saying was, Kareem lied about the situation, because one thing, and let's go back to and let's go with the Ray Rice situation too, real quick. One thing I love about our organization, you see me out here repping. So one thing I like about our organization is this. So if you go back to the Ray Rice situation, the Baltimore Ravens they were aware of the situation with Ray Rice. They was going to give him a few game suspension, slap on the wrist, few game suspension, and they was going to move on. And so this was like when it was in-house. However, the only thing that made them move on from Ray Rice was the actual video footage. Mm-hmm. The footage is what tarnishes things, and it's tough. So what I mean by that is you got to kind of, give kudos to the Ravens for at least wanting to stand by this gentleman and still keep him and move forward after that incident. However, I do understand corporate America, and I understand branding, and I understand business. It just doesn't look good for your organization. It's one thing about speculation and charges and stuff like that, but when there's video when there's video out, it's another. And it's just hard to align your brand with someone like that. So I understand releasing somebody, letting them go for stuff for a situation like that. Same way with the Kareem Hunt thing. I think with Kareem Hunt, I don't think he knew that it was a tape out, honestly, but I do believe, he was just trying to stall the inevitable. Like, if he'd have told him the truth, they was going to fire him then, so he just stalled it out.
If you don't mind, let me cut in here for a second. There's a couple of issues that I have with this. One, Kareem Hunt being, what age is he?
23.
All right, so you're 23 years old. You're doing pro football, and I'm looking at this going, every team has a moment where a personnel will sit down with them and talk about etiquette outside of the field, and reminding them that they have something to lose, a lot to lose if they react in a certain out-of-pocket type of way. Now, with that being said, I know every organization is different. I know every owner is different. However, we have to take account into the fact that these NFL players have something to lose, and that the regular citizen, the regular common folk, the guy or the girl that decides, hey, I'm going to start something up, has everything to gain. Whether it's fame, whether it's money for a suit, anything of that regard, anything like that of that sort, if they do that at any given time, and those players that have those millions of dollars react in a certain out-of-pocket type of way, they lose everything.
Yeah.
They lose everything. And I look back at the tape, and I'm not trying to demonize this woman, but my problem is, if there's a confrontation, you do not persist and keep walking yourself forward. That should have been the time you took your coat and you go.
So excuse me, I was reading also, because I don't know much about the story, but I was reading bits and pieces. They were saying the lady she didn't want to press charges or anything. And then I think she was a little intoxicated as well. So,
yeah, she did have some of the alcohol. That is obvious.
Yeah, but I understand where you coming from too. It's just, honestly, man, it's just an unfortunate situation regardless. And it should be used. Sometimes misfortunes be, lessons for other people. So up and coming athletes that's coming up, that worked your butt off to get to a certain height or to a certain position in life, you shouldn't take those things for granted, man. When you in these type of situations, you should always think, rational and really, really evaluate the situation for what it is. And if it's really not worth even jeopardizing, what you work so hard for, just be the bigger man, just walk away. And even in that situation, I mean, even his friends, they tried to show restraint. But I seen Shannon Sharp say, on his show, he was saying like his one gift was a detriment at the time, because he was saying how, when he come through the when he break through the line and he carrying the pile, when he running through those holes, it's hard to tackle him, bring him down. Right. In that situation, his friends was trying to restrain him and keep him from, going after this woman. Absolutely. It was hard to bring him down. And, that was worked to his disadvantage at the time. So, it's just, we have to be, sometimes we get, it's the trick to fame too. Sometimes we get up in that higher echelon and we think we're untouchable. We think nobody can mess with us, all this type of stuff. So, this is what you call a reality check, to really let you know that, it can all be taken away from you in the blink of an eye, man. So, and to close this, I do have to say this. I'm not here to demonize Kareem Hunt. I'm not here to talk bad about him. If anything, I hope he learns from his mistake. It's just a very unfortunate situation, because we have somebody here that has great upside potential, could have been the face of the franchise after Jamal Charles, like a lot of upside. Yes. And for this to happen is very, very, very unfortunate.
So, I mean, prayers over the whole situation, because that's not an easy thing to get through. That is definitely more than a wake-up call. That is your whole reality is shaken.
Yeah, man.
Bad.
Yeah, it's tough. And, you know, it was weird because not so much for the fantasy thing, because I was out of town when we saw that. We was down in Atlanta at the Ravens game over the weekend. And I just kept feeling like, damn, I just feel sorry for him, man. Like, I just... Like, never met the brother, nothing. And it ain't even like a race thing. It's just like, damn, yo, when, especially like the team that he played, it's like just a great year for this whole city, right. Kansas City, Andy Reid, with everything going on. And like this shit abruptly happened. I just really felt sorry. But it's like, bro, you gotta, you know, you have to use your head. Man. You gotta use your intellect real quick.
Absolutely. Definitely prayers on that situation. Now, another situation that I don't think needs as much prayer, or, you know, I think it just needs analyzation, really. No, outside of that, that's it. I think they'll be fine. Cardi B announced her breakup with Offset. Now, I'm not putting this on here to speculate about the whole relationship. What was it, a publicity stunt at first? Was it for the cameras at first? This is what I'll say about this. I think we need to have a bigger relationship talk about this, because I'm noticing this trend, and I may catch a lot of heat for saying this, but I'm gonna say it. I've seen friends, I've seen acquaintances, I've seen celebrities all do this. They'll get with somebody for a couple years, it's their soulmate or whatever, have a kid by him, then all of a sudden y'all not together no more. I get frustrated because in my head, you take that time to get to know somebody before you even think about putting a ring on them or having kids with them. Mm-hmm. Because there's some things you are going to miss about that person. If you caught up into the sex, if you caught up into their looks, anything materialistic about them, it's not going to last. Their personality is what's going to stay there. And what they stand for, their morals, their ethics, everything like that. You got to check that and be like, wow, is this somebody who I want to be with? What pisses me off is I feel like I'm one of these select few that think that far ahead. I feel like people really don't think that far ahead. I think people plan for the moment, and then they take things moment by moment by moment. And that's a very potentially dangerous way to go about your life, because you ain't thinking long term. You thinking, oh, right now. You know what I mean? So it's just very troublesome to me, because I wish people took more time to really look into how to build a relationship. Because back in you ain't that far older than me. What, you in your 30s?
Yeah, I'm almost 40. I think I got you about 10 years.
Yeah. So I'm assuming back then, like, if you were going through something, you took time to work that out. So, now it's like, oh, I don't like this person. I'm cutting them off, deleting messages, swipe right, swipe left, whatever.
I think that's a testament to like this new, I think it's this new era that we live in, like this new generation. I think the attention span is getting even shorter. You know, so it is not organic anymore. I think everything is about like perception. I think a lot of people do stuff so it can be perceived to be this or that to whoever they think that cares. You started off with Cardi B and Offset.
They're in their 20s.
Publicity. I mean, when you say publicity, I mean, and
I was going over the rumors.
No, not saying you. I'm speaking general. I mean, I think that's logical, and I'm gonna tell you why. And this is no disrespect to these people at all, right? Because I actually love Cardi, my girl, knowing all that.
We appreciate Cardi, right? them for the people they are.
My thing is absolutely publicity. I mean, think about it. Listen, I just told it's about branding. You got one of the hottest female artists in the hottest female artist in the game right
easily.
Now.
And then you have a guy.
And then you got a guy who now he's not the hottest male artist, but he's in the hottest group.
Yeah.
In the game. So I mean, it kind of like only makes sense. It has to be some propaganda, some publicity there. Now, along the way, we fucking around, we doing our thing. It's fun, blah, blah, blah. And then boom, I have a baby. So back to perception, because my thing is, Cardi, in her latest release, I think she was saying something about she wasn't sure if they was in love, or I don't know, but I don't even think that's a thing when you know it's real. Like when you know it's real, you don't have to question that. Even if it didn't work out near the end, or it just, y'all outlived each other and went your separate way, you never gonna second guess whether, especially if you feel as though you love this person enough to say I do and get married. Cause you can't, that's what I say. A lot of shit be publicity. Cause it's like, oh, was they married or wasn't they married? Or people, a dude just played a prank on the internet. I just seen Charlamagne gave him the donkey today. The dude like posed as Travis Scott, put up this picture, and after he did it, like the picture went viral and viral and viral. Then he made a post and was like, yo, this is really just was an experiment. I wanted to prove that the internet don't care about anything. Like basically we don't fact check this, another, like, it just looked to be like Travis Scott. And it just went like crazy. Right. And they just put it out there. I think a lot of stuff, I definitely think stuff is for publicity, and then maybe along the way, because it's helping my brand. Cardi B wouldn't, not that, I mean, and it's just how it is. Like, I'm just, let's be fair. Like, okay, I guarantee you nobody in her camp would have, I'm not going to say allowed, because she's still at the end of the day her own person, but right. It wouldn't have sat right with them for Cardi B to have a baby by, let's say, DJ Self. I don't even know who he is, but a lot of the viewers probably do. DJ Self is the guy who kind of like missed the opportunity with Cardi B when she was on those shows. He kind of like had her up under him, wasn't really pushing him like that, this, that, and other, whatever the case. But that's just saying, let's say Cardi would be the same Cardi that she is now, the same level of success or whatever, but word got out that she was messing with Self and was about to have a baby. I just believe people in her camp would be like, hey, I don't think that's a good idea. You don't need to do that. Not right now in your career. But she has a baby with Offset. It's like, oh my God, man, this is good for the brand. So I'm not saying that that's the case, but for me, I look at all aspects of things. It's a clear possibility, man. A lot of this could have been for publicity, stuff like that. I mean, let's just think. Come on, dude. They named their baby Culture, Doug. I mean, come on, dude.
Yeah, that's a very weird name.
Not even that is a very weird name. I'm just telling you about propaganda and branding. They have an album called Culture. That was Migos' album name. So like, we're really... You gonna name it after our album? I mean, come on, bro. And again, Cardi, I love you to death, baby. I love you. Yeah, we don't have no ill will towards y'all. I'm just being real. Right. You know what I mean? So, yeah, bro. I just don't... I'm gonna go with publicity a little bit. I'm gonna lean a little bit towards publicity. Yeah, I'm just a beautiful child. I'm sorry. Yeah, she just showed up, beautiful baby, beautiful child. But I'm just kind of, it gets to a point like, because you don't want that child to grow up and be like wow, y'all just carried me out here for publicity stunts and this and that, and then I have to deal with all this. This ain't the life I asked for. Because she's gonna ask questions. But not the child don't have to ask questions, because it's a cruel world. People troll. These kids get to growing up. Oh, yeah, right. Mother and father. So it's just a thing, man. It's just you. Yeah, but she's gonna have to grow up in that. And that's what I'm saying. Them as parents, when they get older, they're gonna have to answer for that, being like, well, look, this is what happened back then, and this and that. Well, it's one of them things where you have to. Every decision you make, there's always gonna be a reaction, good or bad. It's always gonna work out, good or bad. So with every decision you make, they have to own responsibility for every decision that they make, whether it's for publicity or not. Because now you got a child involved. So that's just my response about it. All right. Speaking of standing on something, let me talk to the social justice warriors out here. Your message is good for equality and this and that, but the way you go about it sometimes is complete and utter trash. You can't talk about equality and bringing people together and then turn around and use tactics to bully people. The very thing that you stand against. You want everybody to be equal. You want everybody to be treated fair. That's fine. However, you can't sit over there and shame somebody, a la Kevin Hart, for comments that he put up years ago that he ain't even thinking now. Like, people constantly grow. They constantly mature. How they think 10 years ago is probably not how they think now. It's called progression. It's called growth. And for somebody to turn around, a group of people, or whether it's a couple people, to turn around and sit over there and say, well,
he said this back then, so we should get him up out of here. Who are you? Who are you to sit over there and judge somebody? If you can't respect that person from where they're at now, where they're currently at now, then maybe you just shouldn't be around them or just leave them alone. Don't sit over there and try to take away their livelihood that they worked hard for. That's very, very disheartening. It's very, very wrong. And it's flat out trash. I don't know how else to which way to say it. Not even,
but you left this part out too. He's already addressed it.
He's already
like the man already addressed it. And then my thing be, this what trips me out, man. My thing is, like, why don't y'all put the same energy into finding the response or the original apology? It's nothing but high level trolling. You get what I'm saying? It's that my thing is, and I don't want to make this a race thing, but sometimes you got to see stuff for face value. Kevin out here making movies. He's doing this. He's a philanthropist. He got so much stuff going on, right? So much stuff going on.
Right.
Like soon as he get this, like it's just so fucking, it's like, yo, honestly, miss me with the bullshit. Pardon my French. Can we curse on him? I'm sorry.
Yeah, a little bit.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You can like, just miss me with the BS because it's like, yo, we see what you're doing. We get it, like you do it every time. Okay. Oh, he's up the host. The man can do anything he want. Sell out the box office. This and another. Soon as he's the host the Oscars, the precious Oscars. Oh my God, let's dig up into his past. Let's see what he's doing. Bro, like honestly, like if you got the energy, and this is my thing because I've been conscious of this because I know that I'm going to evolve as a filmmaker and I know that I'm going to be on bigger platforms and stuff like this. And I want people to know now, if you think you're going to go back from a tweet, something that I tweeted, a thought that I processed in whatever moment that I was in that long ago, and you want to keep bringing it up to me to set up. Now, here's the thing. We come from a certain culture, whereas though, I'm going to give you an example. I got a friend who's a homosexual, right? Mm-hmm. He's gay. Like, that's my guy. We talk all the time, this and that, whatever the case. And he even uses the term, like he'll joke and he'll talk about, he might say, oh, I hate when them faggots be flaming or something like that. Like just anything, right?
Right.
But he's not using it in a malicious term or whatever the case. And the guy's gay himself. So when I heard people keep trying to bring the situation up about Kevin Hart, he made some statements. And this is another thing, because this is what I want to say. I feel like I want to say this right because I don't want to be offensive, like the LGBTQ community. Is that it?
LGBTQ community.
Okay. LGBTQ community, right? I feel like they a little too oversensitive sometimes. And me and a brother talked about this on another friend of mine on Facebook. He's actually gay and he do these lives all the time and he put up something about Kevin Hart. And I was like, bro, he's a comedian. I'm like, but my thing is, I said, this is what I want this community to know. If I'm saying something that if I say something that I disagree with your lifestyle, that doesn't mean that I'm coming from a malicious place or I'm saying all hell or to hell with all gay people. That doesn't mean that. If Kevin Hart says, I think the tweets read, I didn't even read them, but I was reading the comments, something about if my son coming here with something on and looking gay, I'm gonna knock that off his head or whatever the case. Bro, if he feels like that about his son, he can feel like that. That doesn't mean, oh, now it's so offensive to every gay person in the world. He hates every gay person in the world. And the dude was telling me, I met Kevin Hart. He's a homophobe. This and that. I'm like, bro, I never met Kevin Hart, but you know why I find that so hard to believe? Because Kevin Hart is working his ass off in Hollywood, and Hollywood is filled with homosexual people. So I'm sure he encounters homosexual people on a day-to-day basis. And I just don't think the man is a homophobe. Again, if we sitting around and we talking about, cracking jokes that we grew up cracking or whatever, I think at the time, because I remember him and Marlon Wayans used to go at each other on Twitter and stuff like that. Bro, at the end of the day, but my thing is, it's just a old worn out tactic that y'all keep doing, and we on to it. Every time we get to a certain plateau, and then it's like you want to crack the whip. It to me is a whole slave mentality. I'm sorry, and then it's contradiction, because if you dig deep into your research, the Academy Award, Eddie Murphy was up to host the Oscars one time. I'm not sure But I remember watching Delirious as a kid. Eddie dropped hella F-bombs in there, and I ain't talking about the fuck word.
Right.
You get what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, so miss me with the they pick and choose what they want to, see, I guess Kevin's getting a little too big for his britches, and it's just that way of shaking them down and bringing them down the side. We want you to apologize. Okay, for what, sir? For something that I already addressed before? So it's like, let me dangle this over your head. Okay, what you gonna do? You gonna shuck and jive a little bit, or you gonna apologize? So for me, it ain't. Now I know that it was a good, and then they only try to take stuff from you when they know it holds so much value to you. Yes, it would have been a great milestone in his career, and it would have been, something else up on his belt to do. But it's like, bro, I got to stand for something. You get what I'm saying? Where's the dignity in it? Like, okay, here's the thing. That's just like if me and you fought a couple years ago as youngsters, right? And we fought, and I can see you to your face now and say, bro, you know what? I'm sorry, EO. I love you. I got big love for you, man. I apologize, man. We was teenagers then.
Right.
We sitting here doing the podcast today. So if we did fight and I say, E, can I get on the podcast? Now I done apologized years ago, but now that you up and pop, you like, yo, yeah, but yo, I just want you to come up here and say sorry for what we've been. Why should I do that, bro? I already told you sorry.
Right.
So you want me to say it again? So I just feel like you want to ridicule me a little bit now. Like, look at him. We gonna give you this job, but in order to get this job, this is what you got to do. No, man.
It's very, 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 very disheartening. And I hate to say this, but everything that Dwayne, I'm not even gonna say I hate to say this, because I've said that a lot on this show here and there to kind of soften the blow. I'm not gonna soften the blow this time. If you want equality, if you want everybody to be treated fair, you have to practice what you're preaching. You can't get mad when there used to be a time if somebody disagreed with your standpoint. Oh, okay, that's cool. No problem. I still respect you though. I mean, that's your opinion. I may disagree, but I still respect you though. That stuff is gone.
Yeah.
Nobody does that no more.
You know
now it's if I disagree with you, I'm gonna bully you into my point. And and everybody does this. Yeah. Even the LGBTQ community. Because I hate to say it, but they do it a lot. It's becoming very disheartening.
No, they do it a lot. And here's the thing, bro. I can speak like this because people who know me personally, they know that I'm a humanitarian. I don't care about someone's sexual preference or whatever the case. But it's even because I had got into I got put out of Red Emmons one time, right? Right here on the Witch Calm. I had an interaction with a transsexual. Right. A transgender. I'm sorry. A transgender. And it was solely, I'm going to give y'all what happened. So I'm in Red Emmons. Me and my friend, we in there, we buying books, we looking at books. Now the transgender, woman was working at the, counter.
Right.
Now before then, I'm showing zero signs of homophobe or nothing. I clearly know that this was a man or used to be a man, but it's a transgender now, right? So I know that. But cool, this is the world that we're living in. I'm interacting with, hey, you know what books to buy? This and that, whatever. Hey, man, you come over. I interacted with this young lady at least 3 or 4 times prior to this incident.
Right.
So we got our books. We seen we want my friend. She orders like a cappuccino and a cookie. So the cappuccino was pretty good. I'm like, damn. So I go back to order one for myself. So I ordered a cappuccino and a cookie. So when I ordered a cappuccino and a cookie, I go to pay. But when I go to pay, unconscious, it was just my subconscious, man, because I knew that it was a man under there, but it was, so here's the thing. It was nothing malicious. So I said, she gave me my change and I said, thank you, sir. But it was not intentional.
It wasn't malicious.
So listen. So I'm like, shit. So she like, they look for triggers. So she like, what did you say? So I'm like, oh, nothing. I'm sorry. I apologize. Never. So now it's like a issue. So she like, mind you. Now listen, we in like a little bookstore. It's like, you know the vibe. You know that vibe.
It's quiet.
You know that little,
it's tranquil.
You know that type, that chills little vibe, right? Everybody, it's like the intellectuals over here. You got them, but this is a co-op spot, right? So like every fucking body's like the manager. Like even you as the dishwasher, you like the manager. So I'm like trying to give him my change. So I'm like, I'm sorry, I apologize. Sir, I'm sorry, sir. No, I said, thank you, sir. So when I said that, it was like, what? What did you say? I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, I apologize. No, this that number. So I'm like, I really apologize. Listen. I was so embarrassed. So I'm like, shit. So I'm like, I really apologize. Never. what do you mean? This and that. And then like, so now I'm at the counter like, I'm sorry. Like, please, I'm sorry. I apologize. But like, yo, so
she went on.
She revving it up. So I'm like, yo, can I speak to one of your No, I am the manager. So it's one of the car spots. I'm like, oh fuck, I am the manager. This, that, and other. Like, I'm like, so all these people come over, this, that, and other, like making this big scene, this, that, and other. Now put me out. Honestly, it's almost like, now here's what now in my defense, thank you is a term of gratitude, Like I'm saying thank you. So
sorry to interrupt. It's a damn shame you got to break down thank you in this society we're living in today.
So it is a damn shame. So again, it was because I said thank you, sir, which wasn't malicious at all. So what I'm using this example to say, sometimes me and my girl be talking, right? Me and my lady, we'll be downstairs talking, and she's so used to talking to her homegirls. She'd be like, and girl, let me tell. And I'm like, yo, I'm sorry, baby, but listen, let me tell you. So it was one of those things. It was just in my subconscious, I clearly knew that it was a transgender and it was a man under there, but I still was, I wasn't trying to be malicious. I slipped up and said, thank you, sir. I tried to clean it up and apologize, but it just triggered something. I got put out of a store that I patronized, that I came in as a regular patron to spend money. I come all the time, read books, buy books, but I was put out of this place, and I was embarrassed in front of all of these people from a situation like that I had, that it was zero, malicious intent on my behalf. I accidentally called the young lady a sir, but it wasn't like I was like, oh, making jokes. Because another thing, what made me mad, and the reason why I even mentioned that we was interacting earlier, is because, you can read people's judgment. You know that I wasn't being malicious. We laughed, we joked, everything in a moment right before that. I mean, I was right there up there with you. I wasn't showing like,
at that point, she should know. Come on, you should know better. At that point, she should have known of what's your character, where that stood, based on the positive interactions that she has had. That's on her. Mm-hmm. And I hate to say this, y'all have got to chill out with being so oversensitive, because y'all are becoming the bullies in the room that y'all trying to get out the way. Mm-hmm. You are becoming the very thing that you're standing against. And that's a dangerous thing to be in, because you are promoting the negativity that you are trying to stop. And it's like trying to drive in sand.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. It's crazy.
That's literally what it's like. It's like trying to go 70 miles per hour on quicksand. How?
It's almost like, yo, they trying to roll out this whole new curriculum. Like, they want you to learn new. I want y'all to understand. I'm one of the most respectful guys in the world. I have no desire to learn new dialogue or dialect, how to speak to certain people. I'm going to continue to be who I am. I've never been a malicious person. I've never been a person that try to, bring people down because of their sexuality or whatever their lifestyle is. That's never been my way. But I'm not going to adapt a new dialogue and a new way. I was raised with great etiquette. I know how to articulate well, but I'm not going to use these new catchphrases and words to appease and,
it's too much.
I'm not doing it, man.
It's too much. It's too much. I'm sorry. I can't live a life where I please everybody and hope that nobody gets offended. I'm sorry. I have to live my truth. Yeah. I have to get up every morning and be satisfied with the fact that, hey, this is the body that God put me in. I have to be satisfied with the fact that this is the circumstances that have made me who I am in life. I can't apologize for how I think. Mm-hmm. And if it gets to that point where I'm going to be ridiculed for the very essence of who I am, well, I guess it's going to be F you and your opinion, because I'm getting real tired of defending myself every 5 minutes.
Yeah, man.
It becomes too much.
And then, with the new social media, that's why I try to stay back, because with the new social media, you get caught up in the trigger fingers and everybody. That's really what it is. Everybody has this platform where they can just voice their opinions now, and it's just getting oversaturated.
You want to know what social media is like? Social media is like, you see how we're talking now? Now imagine if this was multiplied by 500,000.
Or 5 million.
Or 5 million. It's like people talking like this, but like
all the chatter in the room.
All the chatter in the room. It's like being in an arena and there's nothing but chatter. Mm-hmm. That's what social media has become. And the second that it has become that, everybody thinks, okay, let's look at it from this perspective, right? The positive and the beautiful thing about social media, everybody can create their own platform. Mm-hmm. That's also a detriment depending on who the individual is. That's so true. What we have to really get back to is a sense of let's listen, and I say this all the time, let's listen to understand over listening to reply before we wow out. Can we do that? That's all I got to say about this, man. This is very, very disheartening, and some of y'all need to grow up.
Kevin Hart. Shout out
to Kevin Hart, man. Keep living your truth. Keep living your best life. Don't let these people get you down. We're not going to touch on this long, but I noticed the Grammy nominations. Some of the big. Let's start that over. Here, I think it's like something about your phone's like causing static. So getting into the Grammys, we know that Cardi B is nominated, Drake is nominated, Kendrick is nominated, J and B are nominated for a couple. Let me ask you this question.
They are nominated for a couple, you say, or not?
They're nominated for like a couple. It ain't that much. Okay. Now, however, how do you feel, and we ain't going to touch on this long, but how do you feel about this upcoming Grammys? Do you feel like it's more diverse? Is that because hip hop has become the most popular music space, or how do you feel?
First of all, hip hop is the most popular music, period. And like exclamation mark. And it's been that for years now. So that's the first thing. I don't really have a lot of desire in it because I don't really know what's going on over there. It's so watered down. So I really couldn't say, but
and sometimes they get it wrong anyway. I hate to say it, they do. They get it really wrong. Because
I seen people talking about who should have been nominated, who shouldn't. I think Nipsey Hussle had a good album. I think he should have been nominated. I think Cardi's gonna definitely win, and I think she deserves to win one because Shorty.
I think she's gonna run the table.
I like people who triumph from nothing, so I'm rooting for her for that. But as far as diversity, I just think they can't ignore the hip hop. Like they gotta give out those nominations because it's dominating the airwaves.
It's dominating all charts.
You got to.
Yeah, man. It's good to see the culture spread out to the point as Grammys. I feel like sometimes the Grammys do get it wrong at times. We've seen in the past they have gotten it wrong. So hopefully maybe this year is the big turning point. Speaking of turning points, we have to get into the Avengers Endgame. Mm-hmm. Let's talk about that for a second. All right. So this is my thoughts, right? Beautiful teaser trailer to get people interested. Give them enough, but don't give everything away. Mm-hmm. These are my predictions. Let me get this out straight on the table. I think at this point, I think it's a foregone conclusion. We know Tony Stark is getting cut off. We know he's getting killed or dying at some point. The trailer alluded to that. I think that it's going to be discussed as to where Hawkeye was during the time of the snap. I think it's going to be discussed as to how Ant-Man got out of the quantum realm. And are they time traveling back to fix stuff before Thanos comes in to change the timeline just a little bit, to make people more aware of the plan that he's going to do? So that's forwarded. Mm-hmm. Very, very interesting. I think at this point, everybody kind of knows that most of the Avengers will be coming back. I think it's just a matter of people are going to see this to figure out how. And we know Captain Marvel is going to be involved because her movie is coming on March of 2019. Avengers is coming in April of 2019. So back to back.
Captain Marvel, that's what it's called?
Yeah, Captain Marvel, the woman.
Her trailer didn't really compel me as much as the Avengers did.
Oh, I mean, well, obviously.
Yeah, I'm just saying, I'm just saying to the point, I don't even really want to even, I could wait for that to come to Netflix or something like that. Yeah,
Captain Marvel. I think to get you, I think it's one of those situations where you need to see it, especially to follow the storyline properly. I think it's one of the things you need to see it so that when you go into Infinity War, because apparently she's formidable against Thanos. Okay. That's what's going on.
Oh, so you think she might make an appearance in
Definitely. There's too many rumors going on. Yeah, they setting it up.
Because that's really why I'm eager to come back to see how they handle Thanos. Because Infinity War, that was the last one, right?
Yeah.
Thanos came through there and wrecked shop. But he showed. To me, it was hard to figure Thanos out because you knew he was the villain.
Yeah.
But he had empathy a little bit.
Right.
So it was like, damn, is he the villain or am I like rooting for this dude? Like,
some people, it's weird because some people,
a little bit.
Yeah, because some people are actually. I was where my standpoint was in terms of Thanos. I was like, when I saw Infinity War played out, I was like, finally. A movie where the bad guy wins and it's decisive. It's not, there is no questions. There is no, oh, are they coming back? No, this particular movie, the bad guy's winning. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. So I did appreciate that fresh idea of letting the bad guy actually get a triumph for a long period of time. However, I do think that there are some people that kind of, when he started explaining as to the reason why he did it, and I think that's why people are attached to him. I think it's people found a rational way of kind of, well, does feel kind of, I could understand from his perspective, he feels justified about it to a point.
So for me, I'm a conspiracy theorist. So to me, Thanos was exhibiting population control. That's what I linked that to. Like, I'm just saying, with my mind be going to something other. And I know you got guys like Bill Gates keep putting out these warnings and all this stuff for real. So I was reading those articles, and that was around the same time when I went to go see the movie. It just, my mind, I know they put a lot of subliminals and they do these things with these films. That's what I got from Thanos as well. And even if you listen to a lot of his dialogue, he was basically telling you how you had to kill off these societies, I guess, or whatever the case. So, I'm sorry. So I definitely linked that to population control for sure, because I know it's something that our government is definitely fond on for real, and trying to put in motion. So I got a little bit of that from that film as well.
Oh, okay. Well, it's going to be interesting to see how that goes. We're interested to see where Thanos ends up, where the Avengers end up, and
can you kill
Captain
him?
Marvel and Captain Marvel's involvement. What?
Can you kill him? Or you got to get those stones from the weaken him? Thanos.
He's definitely killable. If you read the comics, he's killable. It's a tall
Hawk
order, but it's killable.
Hawk, like, cause I went back and read the article. I was telling my girl, like, yo, he fucked the Hawk up. But Thanos, I think my friend was telling me, who really big into the comics, said the Hawk is who comes back, because I think that's how didn't the Hawk create like a planet or something or whatever? Because you remember how he was scared of Thanos in Infinity War.
The thing about it is, I don't know if what story arc they're following, what they're going to keep. So I can't really sit here and say it's like this. Yeah. You know what I mean? So I don't know what things they're going to keep from comics and what things they're going to leave out. Who knows? But it's going to be interesting to see. That's for sure.
I definitely want to see. What's the next one? Is it 4 or just, what is it? Is it just called Avengers 4?
It's called Avengers Endgame.
Oh, Endgame. Because when I looked at the trailer, it was just like 4. But yeah, that's going to be, I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah. Definitely, man. Definitely. Looking forward to that. April 2019. It's on the countdown. Be prepared for Captain Marvel as well. Dwayne, I want to kind of get to your journey because you've been more of an entrepreneur. You've been an actor. You've been interested in the film. How did you get involved in, just like, you ain't got to go into like a deep dive about it, but how did you get involved into being a creative artist and also being an entrepreneur?
Excuse me. Well, the acting thing is something that my heart has desired probably my whole life. My pops say I did my first play. I was 4. I think I did Paul Laurence Dunbar. I used to go to like McCullough Head Start. I started doing it there. And then as I grew older, just loving film, watching TV, having a great imagination. And then I remember, I think I was in like 10th grade. My pops took me down to like the School of the Arts to audition. I didn't get in, but I think because I was in like the 10th, I don't know. But I had got booked for a play called Fame. I kind of did that play. We did that, and then when like Homicide came and The Corner and stuff came, my pops used to take me all the way down. People who know, all the way down. The set used to be all the way down at the bottom of like Fells Point at Broadway. I used to try to get on there, and he just always kind of like kept me around trying to do like little different stuff. Then as I became I became a father young. I became a father around like 19. I was going to leave town and head to New York and kind of pursue the whole thing. Kind of like had a kid, kind of did the whole dad thing, raising my daughter, and fell back from acting a little bit, but always just had bug to do it. And then I started studying at the Arena Players. When I was in my early 20s, I started doing like theater, improv, stage, just learning the craft at Arena Players over there with Mr. Donald Owens and Mr. Jones, God rest his soul, people like that. And just being around the craft, I landed a extra role on The Wire. One time I had a couple little extra roles on The Wire. And then I was chasing. I went to New York one time. I went to the theater district, and I was like going around, just popping in and out of theaters, just looking for stuff. And I came across backstage. And then I started to apply for a lot of gigs, and got my first independent film in 2008 called Elysium. We shot in Fairfax, Virginia. So at that point, it was just still just doing little stuff or whatever the case. And then I kind of flipped the script. I always was into acting, and then I kind of flipped the script, and I started to create. That's when the YouTube thing. I wasn't a YouTuber in the beginning, jumped off, but later on, maybe 2011, we just started putting out parodies and skits and stuff like that, starting to get a little bit of notoriety throughout town. And then we started booking, doing shows. And I remember working with me and my good brother Cleon, the comedian. We started doing shows and stuff together. And I remember I just would write short plays, the skits to the shows that we would do. We would do segments of the shows. I started writing them. Then I wrote a couple episodes when we was working together. Then I started to develop the love and passion for directing. And then I wrote my first play in 2013 called Couldn't See It Coming. We had that at Goucher College. This was a blessing, man, because you gotta understand, this is the first play that I written, produced, and directed all on my own. And that venue held 982 people. We got about 500 people in there, and that was our first show. So it was just kind of overwhelming response and stuff like that. And then, so after doing my shows, the 2 shows that I wrote, had great responses, and I don't know why. When I had the momentum, I kind of slipped into a state of depression for some reason. I had personal things going on in my life, and I just fell back from the craft, man. Stopped working, stopped doing anything, and it just was some of the worst times in my life because I just wasn't fulfilled. And that's around the time when we met,
Yeah,
that time I started going to, had got the job at Amazon. Really wasn't fulfilled, but I still was writing. I just was writing. I wasn't doing nothing but writing. Just writing little stuff, writing. Wasn't really putting nothing in motion. And then, bro, I just started to gain back my momentum, getting my confidence and stuff back, and just getting back at the craft. And excuse me. As soon as I jumped back in, a bunch of opportunities started coming my way, and now it's just I just got tunnel vision, man. I'm just trying to focus on the projects and just put out quality work and just challenge myself as a creator every given time. So, each project that I work on, I don't want to be predictable as a filmmaker. I don't want you to think I might do a suspense crime drama this one, but the next one it might be horror or something totally different. So you
may come out with a comedy next. Who knows?
So that's where I'm at with it right now.
So, and it's kind of weird because even though we didn't meet up until 2016, I really feel like we were definitely on the same brainwave in terms of what we wanted out of life and what we wanted as creatives. Mm-hmm. And it was really, and I didn't tell you this to your face, but it was really, you were one of the people that kind of kept me going. Mm-hmm. Because I wasn't feeling fulfilled as well. And as a matter of fact,
we had that conversation.
Yeah, we definitely had that conversation. So it was one of those situations where I felt low. I stopped podcasting. Actually, I picked it back up after I left because I was such in a slump. Mm-hmm. In 2016, I didn't do any podcasting at all. And I don't really open up the curtain like that. But in 2016, I didn't do any podcasting at all. Mm-hmm. And I needed to do something to create some type of momentum, some type of creative outlet, something. Because being at Amazon for 10 hours and then, you're off on weekends, and then you have to, family members walk up to you and be like, what's wrong? You're off on weekends. What's the issue? I'm like, you don't understand. I'm not going to waste my time. Right. So just get out my face. It got to that point where it was it got to that point where it was slowly making me feel like my mindset wasn't right. Like I was feeling like I was getting more snappy with people. Like it was getting me out of pocket, out of character. And it was just like, all right, I need to leave. Yeah, but it was one of those situations where seeing you kind of be that fresh air and still wanting to do it, it was like, okay, wow, somebody in here is different. Not everybody's just sitting over here depressed and complaining.
And complacent.
Right. And complacent about a lot of stuff. Or, the littlest thing happens and they want to complain. It's one of those situations where I'm very, very, if there's one thing I could say through that experience when I was there, is the individuals that I met there that went on and did, their things on their own 2 feet, and then went on and did good things after I met them. And you were one of those people we had always kept in contact, even when I left. And I was always proud because you had a way of, through whatever avenue you were doing, you were always bringing people together. And that's something that I will always remember. And also uplifting people up. Yeah. Because I told you in the phone conversation, I said, for you to pull off, and I'll bring this up, mandatory overtime, which was a big party atmosphere. For you to pull that off, it was bigger than, we're having a party for you to, get away from life for a second and just, have fun. You brought an entire group of you uplifted their spirits in one night.
And I think it was a void there, and it was just needed, especially, it's people who work at Amazon know, but you can only imagine, but the morale is low in there. You get what I'm saying? The morale is low, and then it's like, people think, it's this big company, but that shit is just very strenuous, and then just a lot of work. And I just felt like it was an avenue that was needed, and I just gave it a try. But back to a question you asked me about entrepreneurship. Me and my girl was just talking the other day, and it's like, I've been an entrepreneur before I even knew what an entrepreneur was. Like, it's like a wave now, like a new thing. Like everybody
wants to be their own boss.
You know what I mean? Whatever the case. But for me, it goes back to my father. Like I've always had a crazy work ethic. I've been working. I had my first job at 14. I used to work on the Lady of Baltimore, on the Bay Lady downtown Harbor Cruises. So always had a work ethic, but always having a desire to want more and want my own, like ownership. Like even with the message that's portrayed on my hoodies, manager, supervisor, worker, crossed out, entrepreneur. I just feel like as a society, I really feel like we are conditioned and we are trained from pups, from grade school, to just work for other people. It's nothing wrong with having a job, getting up, doing a 9 to 5 every day. There's nothing wrong with that. It's something wrong with complacency to me. You understand what I'm saying? Just being in this, because how many people do you know? If you got 300 contacts on your phone, how many people in your phone, they could even have, to you, it might look like, I got a good job. How many people do you know that get up and go to work every day that loves their job? I guarantee you, it's going to be a greater percentage of people that go to work every day that don't love their job opposed to the ones that do. And that's a low percentage. So for me, it just was like, I'm thinking about generational wealth, man. I got three daughters and I got a son on the way. So for me, it's about trying to put something in place to build for my family to fall back on. Because when this is the most purest thing that you can understand. One thing that was clear to me, and one thing that I just came to grips with and I understood was this. Everything stems from an idea. I don't care what the biggest brand, me and you, we met at Amazon. Amazon is the worldwide leader in online sales. You and I both know when you go on Amazon, is a timeline from 1994 when he started in the garage to now. So the reality is this. Nike one time was just a dude in Oregon on a track and field team putting fucking waffle patterns at the bottom of his shoe, trying to make track shoes, this, that, and the other. It turned into a global brand. You know, you get what you put out. You gotta put the work in for something. It's so many people who have next level innovative ideas that don't, nourish their ideas.
They don't act on them at all.
You get what I'm saying? So that's just my reality. It's like, okay, I never wanted to, like, I think I'm a pretty fashionable guy, but I never wanted to start my own fashion company. Like, I never did. But I got a product that stuck. The hoodie that I wear, I'm surprised. I'm so stupid for not wearing it for the interview. But anyway, you can go to elevatedmindsapparel.com, get yours today. But anyway, the product speaks for itself. People see that hoodie and it just resonates. Oh my God, I need one. I just said no, whatever case. So that let me know, okay, I got something that's good. Let me make this a business. Not that I wanted to be a fashion designer, but now I got a legitimate business. Every day I got sales coming through. So now I can file taxes at the end. That's something. Now I'm building something of my own. Okay, what's the next thing? I got a production company that I'm working on. You understand what I'm saying? I'm building that up. So time is the only true currency, man. And for us, that's why I didn't quit Amazon. I actually resigned. Like I resigned. Like I filled out the paperwork and everything. Like they really wanted me to stay. I walked away from that job excelling. I didn't leave like I got fired. I was excelling in that job. I was about to go launch another store, launch another Amazon on a away team. So I had opportunities for myself, but my heart wasn't in it. I'm a passionate person. Right. I knew where my heart was at. And time is the only true currency. We used to go on breaks for 30 minutes, right? Right. Remember Chick-fil-A and Mike, the hot dog dude, used to be out there?
Yeah, I remember.
It used to be a dude. We got 2 30-minute breaks at Amazon, one at night, one in the daytime, right? This guy used to come to our job for lunch and would sell hot dogs, and was making more money than us with less labor. Right. That used to resonate with me. I used to tell Devin all the time, like, yo, this dude. Oh, shout out to Devin Diggs too. That's my partner in crime. I'm not the only guy that was responsible for that mandatory overtime. That's my brother. He was just as much responsible for that great night as me as well.
Shout out to him.
Shout out to Devin Diggs. But yeah, bro, it's just something. It just clicked in me like, yo, what are these people doing? Like, we got 24 hours. Why can't I do the same thing that he doing? Or why can't I build a successful business like he doing? Yo, people be doubting themselves before they give themselves the benefit of the doubt. People doubt. Feed your faith, and your doubts will starve to death. That's all I'm gonna tell you.
All facts. That's a good way to close this, man. We appreciate you for coming in.
Thanks
as a guest, man. We got to get you back on here.
Oh, for sure.
Drop
Anytime.
some more jewels.
Yeah, I like this. Anytime.
Definitely, man. So this has been another edition of Audio Airstrike. We want to thank you for listening. Until next time, everybody. See you next episode. Take care.
Peace.